all I can say is a truly stunning qualifying lap.
Yeah, it was a good lap, I think. We had the great car this morning. My teammate did also an awesome job. So yeah, that put us in pole, so we are really happy and looking forward to a good result in that race.
Well, that's another story that'll be sort of, once the race is over. But you've got, unbelievable over most of the field. The 88 Mercedes beside you, though, is going to be a big threat.
Yeah, we will see where we were.
Green light, give us all you can.
Changed from time to time over the years, but still the essence of this place is that the circuit built on a perimeter road of a World War II fighter station, and as you can see, there is a lot of flow around the outside of the circuit with some incredible sectors. Sector 1, which was magnetic down on the long hanger straight, but then you go to sector 2, down into the ground, lots of drivers get it wrong, and then down Wellington Straight to get it.
Big warm welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Motive for round 5 of the ACC GT3 Championship here. We're currently at the home of motorsport, Silverstone, host of the Formula 1 British Grand Prix, as well as a whole host of other events throughout the calendar year. And we've got a hell of an event lined up for you guys tonight, live on the Motive Racing channel here on YouTube and on Facebook. Currently coming into this round, this man here is the championship leader, Thorsten Borchardt. He comes into this one having won 2 races from 4 so far this season. He took the opening 2 rounds of the season. First one of those being at Zolder, and the second of those being at the Nürburgring. Last couple of rounds for Thorsten have not been to the standards that he set out in those first couple of weeks. He finished in a 4th place finish at Monza in round 3, and then last week at Brands Hatch wasn't able to take the start due to some unfortunate circumstances surrounding the beginning of that race, but he's looking pretty quick in these practice sessions. We saw in that session just gone by, he was the quickest man, setting a 1 minute 57.3. Our German driver on British soil. I'm sure he's going to be wanting to upset the odds and deliver an emphatic victory here, but we'll have to wait and see how that's going to go along tonight. And I know one man who's very much going to be on a mission to ensure that that does not happen, and it is this man here, Kurt Hodgson. He comes into this one, sat 2nd in the championship on 90 points, just 7 points behind Thorsten. He's been Mr. Consistent over the course of the last 3 races. He's finished in 2nd place in each of the last 3 rounds. He was unfortunately unable to make the first race at Zolder, but since then he's really been on fire. And it's also pretty apt that both of these guys have missed a round, because it's essentially a fair battle between the 2 of them in the championship. As I said, separated by 7 points. This man Kurt currently in 2nd in the championship behind this man Thorsten Borchardt. So it's turning into a pretty close battle between these guys. We're looking forward to seeing how this one develops. And we've got currently in 3rd in the championship coming into this one, we've got Red Bull Energy. Red Bull Energy has scored 2 podiums out of 4 races so far this season. He was 3rd at the Nürburgring and at Monza as well. He came 5th last time out at Brands Hatch, so not quite on the sizzling type of form that we'd seen from him in the previous rounds, but still a very solid result. I'm sure he'll be looking to build on that this time out. We've seen in the practice sessions he's reasonably quick as well, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on here in this one. Looks like we have not got Ziga Milk this week, so Ziga Milk unfortunately unable to make this round. He's not out on track at the moment. He's sat 4th in the championship. He will lose more points through this one. Also Style comes into this one 5th in the championship. Here he is. He's just coming around to complete a lap time now, or maybe to start a lap, I'm not sure. Yeah, that's to start a lap there for us as Style. But he comes into this one having taken a podium in the opening round at Zolder 5th at the Nürburgring and 9th at Monza and at Brands Hatch last week as well. So Oscar Style definitely going to be out there with a point to prove. The last couple of rounds haven't been as good for him as the first couple of rounds were. So I'm sure that he will be out there all guns blazing tonight. It's looks like we still haven't been joined by Evan at the moment. Last week's race winner at Brands Hatch in the wet conditions. It was a masterclass from him. He's still yet to join us. Hopefully he'll get in before the end of qualifying. He's got 10 minutes to get himself in here and on the track. And we just see Kurt Hodgson there, currently done the fastest lap of the session so far. 1 minute 57.2 there for Kurt Hodgson. That is really quick. I think that's almost on the level that we saw from Thorsten in that practice session just a few minutes ago. Thorsten just does his first lap of the session and he's currently 2/10 shy of Kurt, so Kurt's very much setting a blistering pace at the moment. Red Bull Energy has put himself up into 3rd at the moment in this session. Mr. O 4th. We've got Ricky Cart currently out there running in 5th in this session. A good lap from him there. We've got Ads currently 9th at the moment. We saw him do a very solid lap time in the practice session a few moments ago. Was P3 in our final practice session, so we know that he's got the talent around here. He was the runner-up in last season's GT3s on ACC here at Motive, so he's got the credentials. This season hasn't really gone to plan for him though. He's currently sat 8th in the standings. Last week at Brands Hatch was an absolute nightmare for Ads. Came 13th in that one. His best result of the season so far was a 5th at Zolder. Also came 6th at Monza as well. Let's have a look and see what Mr. O's up to. Mr. O comes into this round sat in 11th place in the championship. Our Spaniard, his best result of the season was a 5th place at the Monza. Driving in the McLaren is always, he goes a little bit wide there. Sporting obviously the manufacturer that famous Spanish driver Fernando Alonso raced with for a number of years. Interestingly coming back to Formula 1 next year. But Mr. O just coming into Brooklands now. Let's see how he gets on in this final sector of the lap. Currently sat P5 in this qualifying session, so he's having a good run of it so far. See how he is out of Luffield, keeping it a little bit wide there onto the curb, but it does work. You can maximise your speed on the exit by running a little bit wide, and crosses over the line. He can't improve that time around. He stays P5 for the time being. Lucky Star currently out there on the track at the moment. He comes into this one 12th in the championship standings. His best result of the season was an 8th place at Monza. Last week at Brands Hatch did not go to plan for him though. He was finishing 17th in the end, so he'll be looking to build on that and bounce back in the best possible way. If somebody could tell me who QT, KP, RC, NF, LCPA is, it would be much appreciated, guys, because it's not really much of an identity. I mean, I'm happy to say Q2KP as his abbreviation, but I don't know if this is somebody's second account, what's going on. But anyway, if it is this is the first account, then welcome along QTKP, and good to have you out on the track as well. Welcome along to the ACC League here at Motive Racing. He looks like he's driving the Bentley here as he's coming out around the final corner Woodcote. Let's see what sort of lap time he can do here. He's currently sat in P9 in this qualifying session. He improves his lap time a little bit there. He moves up to into P8. 2 seconds off of that provisional pole time being set by Kurt Hodgson at the moment. So we've got Sim Race Train currently sat 11th at the moment in this qualifying standings. He's our resident YouTuber here at Motive Racing. He streams his races. He does a little commentary on it afterwards as well. He's always bigs us up in his videos as well. He says some very nice complimentary things about us here at Motive Racing. So guys, if you haven't already, make sure you check out his YouTube channel, Sim Race Train. His YouTube channel is exactly the same as his PlayStation name. If you want to see some interesting and exciting sim racing content, make sure you head over to his channel. There's some good stuff over there. Dr. Benji currently driving around in his I think this is his first race here at Motive. I haven't seen him out on track before, so we'll be monitoring his progress closely and seeing how he gets on. But welcome along, Dr. Benji. Good to have you part of the Motive Racing GT3 League here on ACC. J-Palm looks like he's gone P12 with his latest lap, but can't get too far up the order at the moment. J Palm is our lead coordinator here at Motive, and he's really the man who's put together what you see out on track. The reason that we've got such a wide variety and large fan base here on ACC here on the Discord server is mainly down to him. He really has done a hell of a job getting this ACC league up and running. Ad's currently 14th at the moment. I'm sure we'll be seeing improvements from him, because we saw in the practice session he was up there with Kurt and Thorsten. So let's see how he gets on here as he comes over the line. It looks like that may have been an outlap there for Ads. Shrimper currently sat 15th at the moment here in this session. Shrimper comes into this 13th in the championship standings. His best result of the season was an 8th place at the Nürburgring. But other than that, it's been a bit of a hit and miss season for him. He was 14th in the season opener at Zolder, 13th at Monza, and 14th at Brands Hatch last week. Currently 15th at the moment in this qualifying session. Hater Spray sat in 16th in this qualifying session. He comes into this round sat in 14th in the championship standings. He's missed the first 2 races, but the last couple of rounds he's had some solid results. Has finished in the top 10 at both Monza and at Brands Hatch. Came 7th last time out, so really showing his credentials when he can get it together. So good to have Hater Spray out there. He's currently running a little bit low down the order at the moment, but I'm sure we'll be seeing improvements from him. Ratchedas currently in 17th in the qualifying session at the moment. He comes into this one 19th in the championship standings. His best result was actually last week at Brands Hatch. He came 15th in last week's race. He's currently just coming out of the pits to have another go here in this qualifying session. Here's Ian, otherwise known as Emo Guy. He's currently coming through up towards Village now, and he's currently sat in 18th in the qualifying session. Comes into this round sat in 15th in the championship standings. His best result of the season so far was a 7th place finished at Zolder, where he was very strong in Belgium, but the last couple of rounds haven't really been kind to him. 15th at Monza, and unfortunately wasn't able to start at the Nürburgring and at Brands Hatch. Hoping for a good result for Ian tonight though. Our steward on the Motive Racing Discord and commentator on our Clio Cup second division, and also commentates alongside myself in the LMP2s. Oh, as we see Ian getting loose there, coming through Luffield, getting all sorts of out of shape, puts it into the barriers. That is not what Ian would have wanted. Oh no, that's not what he would have wanted. Let's stop watching him, let's stop putting the pressure on him. As we're currently watching Lions Foot at the moment, sat 19th at the moment in this qualifying session. Lions Foot comes into this round 17th in the championship standings. Took his season best result last week of an 8th place finish at Brands Hatch, so he's currently on some good form at the moment, and I'm sure he'll be looking to build on that this time out here at Silverstone. And there's one man we haven't talked about so far, and that's Vlad Ryber. He comes into this one sat in 10th in the championship standings, and it's so surprising to see Vlad that far down the order when you consider the speed that he's got. He came 4th at Monza, he came 3rd at Brands Hatch, but the other 2 races weren't too kind to him. He was unable to take the start at Zolder, and then was 16th in the end at Monza due to obviously the fact that he didn't come 4th at Monza, he came 4th at the Nürburgring. But his 16th place finish at Monza wasn't really representative of the pace that he had at that track, because he was definitely in contention for the win. He just made a small mistake in the final few laps. He got a little bit too hot onto the throttle coming out of the second chicane, put it into the wall, and that dropped him way down the order come the checkered flag. So I was expecting Vlad Ryder to be putting in a good performance this time out. So that is the entire field here for this race. Currently missing Evan out on track at the moment. Hopefully he'll jump in the session before it's too late. But we're currently watching Thorsten Borchardt at the moment, a provisional pole setter, and he's put in an absolute stonker of an lap time here. He's 3/10 of the good over Kurt Hodgson. Kurt, representing Great Britain here at his home track. I'm sure he'll be very much spurred on racing at home here. Hopefully he can do it for the boys this evening. Also Kurt, one of our coordinators alongside J-Palm here on the Motive Racing Discord as well. He does a lot of work behind the scenes and in fact on the scenes as well. And it looks like he's got Ratchedas just up ahead of him here, so he'll be hoping that Ratchedas doesn't hold him up too much. still yet to have Evan in the session at the moment, so it looks like the Irishman, last week's race winner, will possibly be missing out on some racing action. We really do hope that he can get himself in the session before the time is up, but it's going to be nip and tuck for him. We are just hearing in the comment section on our general chat for our Discord server that Evan is unfortunately going to have to miss this one, which is unfortunate. He's only just got home and sounds like he's not really able to get himself together, which is understandable, I suppose, because you really do need to be in the zone when you're about to race. So that's a shame there. We missed our last week's race winner. Will not be starting this one. Let's see if Kurt Hodgson can get himself up ahead of Thorsten. Looks like he can't for the time being. He's got 20 seconds left in this qualifying session, so Kurt about to start his final qualifying lap of the session. Can he put it on top pole position here? Will it be a Brit on pole here in Great Britain? Without being biased, I hope he can do it, but I think that Thorsten Borchardt is going to have a little bit too much for him. That's just an incredible lap time there from Thorsten. It really is. He's setting such a blistering pace here at Silverstone, and he will be driven on, I'm sure, by the fact that the last couple of rounds have really not gone his way. Monza, he had that accident, he put it in the wall coming out of Ascari, and then last week he didn't even take the start at Brands Hatch. Can he try and rub salt in the wounds here on this final qualifying lap? Mr. O is also out there on a lap time, as is Ricky Cart, Ads, J Palm, Dr. Benji and Lionsfoot. But Thorsten Borchardt coming into Village, up towards the loop now. See if he can deliver the goods. Through Aintree he comes into the loop and out onto the Wellington Straight. He's got Ads there in the foreground, just up ahead of him. Ads was really quick in the practice session a few moments ago, but he hasn't really got it together so far in this qualifying. This is going to be his last opportunity here as he comes into Luffield for the final time. Driving in the number 69 Bentley, the same car and livery that he sported last season where he was runner-up in the championship. Foot to the floor as he comes through Woodcote now. What is this one going to be for Ads? Can he put himself in amongst it here? Looks like he can't. Stays P10, improved his lap time, but he couldn't move himself up the order. Thorsten doesn't go any quicker. Obviously takes pole position though. Ricky Cart comes over the line. Looks like he can't move himself up the order, so I think that is going to be that here, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be Thorsten Borchardt lining up on pole here for this one. Kurt Hodgson's going to line up alongside him on the front row with Red Bull Energy and Oscar Style in third and fourth. Stand by for what I'm sure is going to be a really exciting race here at Silverstone for round 5 of the ACC GT3 Championship here at Motive Racing.
Green light, green light. Go, go, go.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies for the quick little issues that we had just there, but we're back on now. So, lap and a half into this race, Kurt Hodgson got ahead of Thorsten Borchardt off the line. He's now leading this race. He's got 7/10 of a second over him at the moment. Thorsten Borchardt very much sticking to the back of him at the moment. Oscar Style sat in third. Mr. O, Ricky Cart there just behind those guys. You see Vlad Ryber in the background with ads all over the back of him as they come down the F1 start-finish straight. Ads having a little look to the inside coming into Abbey. He can't quite get that one done. ST12 dash, do you see there? Shrimper has made himself up into 9th. Fantastic. Opening a couple of laps here for Shrimper. He really has made excellent progress. He's got Dr. Benji right up his chuff though. Sim Race Train currently sat in 11th place at the moment. QTKP with J-Palm very much on his rear end. Ian's had a good first couple of laps. He's currently running in 14th at the moment in that 666 Bentley, and we've got Lions for up into 15th. He's made up 3 places here at the beginning of this race. Hater Spray there sat in 16th, and Lucky Star and Ratchidas seem to have had absolute nightmares of a start to this race. These guys right at the back of the field here and well off the rest of the pack. But Kurt Hodgson, the British driver here and ACC coordinator for Motive Racing, currently doing bits here at the front of the field. He's got just over a second, well just under a second now actually. Thorsten's clawed back a little bit of time here coming into this final sector, but Kurt Hodgson very much flying the flag at the moment. Oscar Style with Mr. O right behind him here. 4/10 of a second separating these guys as they come between Cops Corner and Maggots. I think Mr. O's a little bit too far back to try and go side by side with Oscar Style here coming through this section there. You see Vlad Ryber really facing a lot of pressure from ads, and also Shrimper has got Dr. Benji right behind him as well. In fact, looks like J-Palm is also on the back of QTKP as well. So we've got lots and lots of battles going on here at the moment. This man Kurt Hodgson though just trying to pull out a gap here to Thorsten. It looks like he's got 1.1 seconds, so he's very quick in that first sector. I know this from practice. I've been doing a bit of practice over the last few days with Kurt around Silverstone here on this game, and I know that he's got a hell of a lot of pace in that first sector. He just seems to extract every little bit that he can out of that McLaren. It is so quick in a straight line, it's ridiculous, and right now he's very much showing that at the moment. As you see there, he's just pulling out a little bit of a gap to Thorsten Borchardt at the moment, the championship leader, struggling to keep with Kurt in the early stages of this race. Oscar Style very much facing pressure from Mr. O and Ricky Cart now. There is Vlad Ryber currently just holding off ads at the moment with ST12 dash just behind them. Shrimper, you see there, still keeping Dr. Benji at bay. Dr. Benji looking for a way through if he can. Has a little look towards the inside of Village, but he's not going to get that one done at the moment. J-Palm crawling all over the back of QTKP now, but he's not quite able to get that one at the moment by the looks of it. Hater Spray closing up onto the back of Lions for 15th place as well. So Oscar Style really facing pressure now from Mr. O. Thing is though, Mr. O's got Ricky Cart behind him, so he's going to face pressure not just from in front of him, but also he's going to have to watch his mirrors to make sure that Ricky Cart doesn't capitalise on any little mistakes or slips, because Mr. O is going to be watching what's going on in front of him and behind him. But Vlad Ryber is really trying hard to keep ads behind him. It looks like SD12 Dash has got a good run here coming down towards Maggots. Is he going to try and pull alongside ads? It looks like in the end he has to back out of that one. He almost was able to pull alongside there. I think in the end he had to get well out of it. It compromised him a little bit coming into Beckett's and out onto the hanger straight out of Chapel. It looks like ads has weathered that storm a little bit. SD12 Dash is right on the back of it once again though. You see he's just under his rear wing, the bonnet of that car. Is he going to try and make a move into Stowe here? SD12 Dash pulls out to the right hand side. Ads is he going to try and defend it? It looks like, oh, is he going to try and squeeze him a little bit? SD12 Dash looks like he's going to try and get around the outside here for Vale Chicane. Ads is going to send him around the long way. It looks like Ads just pushes him out a little bit there. Oh, a little bit of contact, and I think SD12 Dash might be a little bit frustrated with that one. Ads seemed to just squeeze him out a little bit, but I don't know, that's hard racing for you, I guess. So SD12 Dash now loses a couple of seconds here. He's currently got Shrimper right behind him. Shrimper's still managing to hold off Dr. Benji at the moment. He's doing a fantastic job of keeping this train of cars behind him. He's got Dr. Benji, Sim Race Train, QTKP and J-Palm right behind him at the moment. Some excellent racing. Oh, it looks like Ian's lost it in the background. Is it Ian? No, it's not. It's Lucky Star. I do apologise, Ian. Lucky Star there, getting out of shape, coming through Village, and he's lost. Oh, and Hater Spray there has also lost it, I think. Hater Spray there onto the grass. So he's lost a bit of time there. Where's Ratchidas? Ratchidas is way behind at the moment. But Hater Spray there, and it looks like we've actually lost. Oh, we've actually lost Lucky Star from the race. He's retired the car. Obviously doesn't want to go on at the moment. Maybe that car just not behaving how we need it to. As we see, Ricky Carr is the first man to bring it into the pits for his mandatory pit stop, slowing it down to the pit lane speed limit and pulling into the box. Kurt Hodgson still leads this race though. He's currently got 0.6 of a second at the moment to Thorsten Borchardt at the front. It looks like it's a little bit more than 0.6 now. And it looks like we've also lost somebody else from the running as well. So lots of cars retiring in this early stages of the race. It looks like we've lost Lionsfoot. Lionsfoot's retired from the race as well. I'm surprised to see Lionsfoot pulling out of the race. It's not like him to give up early on, but he's obviously got some problem with the car which has caused him to have to call it a day. So that's unfortunate there for Lionsfoot. One of the crew chiefs over at Evo Sim Racing. A few of their guys come along and race with us before their own league racing. Always good to have them out on track. That's a real shame there for Lionsfoot. Osterstall still trying to fend off Mr. O at the moment. There's Vlad Ryber with Ads still crawling all over the back of him, but Vlad's unable to make. Ads is unable to make that move at the moment. You can see in the background here QTKP, Sim Race Train, and J-Palm currently in a train of cars. But it looks like Dr. Benji has managed to. Dr. Shimper and Dr. Benji have actually pulled away from them a little bit. So I don't know if Sim Race Train made a mistake, but yeah, definitely they've put out a bit of a gap. J-Palm dropping off the back of this quintet a little bit. But QTKP getting ahead of Sim Race Train up into that top 10 spot. And Dr. Benji still all over the rear end of Shrimper, like he has been pretty much since the start of this race, but he just hasn't been able to go for a gap as it stands. Back to the battle for the lead. Kurt Hodgson got the lead off of Thorsten Borchardt on the opening lap, got himself into that P1 position which he needed. It was going to be all about the start for Kurt. Thorsten has just had that slight edge in terms of raw pace, but Kurt has obviously got himself up into the lead, and you know how difficult it is to overtake, especially in the turbulent air in these GT3 cars. Once you've got ahead, you're very much in the box seat. Kurt Hodgson has kept to the task, has been very disciplined over the first sort of quarter of this race, just keeping himself calm and collected and composed, and he's been pulling away from Thorsten at stages of the race. The gap is seesawing a little bit, it's going back and forth, but Kurt's very much keeping himself in the box seat here. Osterstar has managed to pull out a little bit of a gap to Mr. Rowe at the moment. He's got 1.8 seconds to him. There's Ads currently running in 5th place, 3 seconds off of the back of Mr. Rowe. You've got ST12 Dash there, that's 6th in this one. Shimper's still keeping Dr. Benji at bay. I don't know how he's keeping him behind him for so long. QTKP is closing in on this pair a little bit now. Now they're starting to battle again. QTKP's also pulled out 1.6 seconds to Sim Race Train, who's got J-Palm and Ian very much on his rear end at the moment. And I've got to say, Emo Guy has driven really well over these last few laps. He's started to make progress through the pack, and he's got himself within striking distance to the top 10 spot here, is Ian. So driving at his home track, obviously British driver at Silverstone, he'll be looking to put in a good result here, our man from Scotland. We're currently watching Kurt Hodgson at the moment, still leading this race and keeping the gap to Thorsten Borchardt very nicely indeed. We've got a few comments coming in on the YouTube stream at the moment. Jamie Brazier in the comments, always good to have Jamie out there. Recently bought ACC, so hopefully he will be out on the track here at Motive next season for the GT3 League here on Sunday evenings. He also races over at Simplay Motorsport in their GT3 Pro-Am series. A bit of a mismatch for that one, I must say. He's just got so much pace in the GT3s over on Project Cars too, so he'll be in their Pro Series I'm sure next season. Looking forward to seeing that. But always good to have Jamie on the track and in the comments section as well. He says he loves the Lambo around this track. But to be honest, Jamie, I don't rate the Lambo at all on ACC. On Project Cars 2 it's a bit of a monster, but on ACC, it's not the way to go. I think the Porsche, the McLaren and the Lexus are probably the three main cars of choice I'd go for. The Bentley's also pretty decent as well, but the Lambo for me, it's a complete dog of a car on this game. You want to go for something that's a little bit more manageable. Also Stahl just gradually pulling away a little bit from Mr. Rowe. Adds, now that he's in some clear air, is just closing the gap on Mr. Rowe. Obviously Ads was being held up a little bit by Vlad Ryber, but now that Vlad's been into the pits, it has released Ads very much into contention of taking potentially the third place spot here. He's only, what, 3.5 seconds off of Oscar Stahl, currently running in that final podium spot. So, as we see, that's Mr. Rowe there going straight on, coming through turns 2 and 3. So he's now given that position to Ads. Ads is up into 4th place. Mr. Rowe maybe feeling the pressure a little bit. So he's down to 5th place now. Ads up to 4th, just 3 seconds off of a podium spot here. Ads driving a fantastic race here in his home race. Runner-up last season in the GT3s here on ACC, and he's currently doing a good job here tonight. Mr. Oda, I'm sure he's not going to give this one up without a fight. Still sticking to the back of Ads, very much keeping him in the hunt for a podium spot here in this race. We're only a third of the way through here for round 5 of the ACC GT3 Championship here at Motive Racing. Kurt Hodgson leads the way, and he's gradually putting out that gap at the front over Thorsten Borchardt. He took the lead on the opening lap, got a better start, and he has not looked back since. He really is getting the hammer down here. Very much hammer time for Kurt Hodgson. His home race came into this one 7 points behind Thorsten in the championship. If it stays as it is here in this race, then he will close the gap. The gap will be 2 points going into the final round next week at Spa. So Kurt is doing what he has to do, but it's a long way left to go in this race. He cannot be counting his chickens just at this point, because he's still got a hell of a lot of way to go before he's going to be able to take the win. Also plenty of support coming in the YouTube comments section for Kurt. Oni Sakara saying go on Kurt, also voicing their support for Ricky as well. No, that's not Ricky, that's Luciano Capillo voicing his support for Ricky. Only Sakara there mentioning we missed the start, unfortunately, to the race. Yeah, absolutely. It's a shame we keep missing the start. So it's just an occupational hazard, obviously, of this ACC game. It's a little bit broken still at the moment. It obviously wasn't completely finished when it came to PS4, but it's a hell of a game. ACC. It's probably the best driving simulator on consoles. There's just a few little things that need tweaking here and there, but it's getting there very much so. Hopefully a couple of patches down the line we will see these spectator mode malfunctions being addressed a little bit. But it always serves up some exciting action. Mr. Rowe actually has got back ahead of Ads here in the battle for 4th. We missed out on the stream, but obviously Mr. Rowe lost the position when he went straight on coming towards Village a couple of laps ago, but he's managed to find his way through at some point. Ads is still all over the back of him though as they come out of Luffield now. Could Ads potentially have an opportunity here coming down the start-finish straight? I think he might be. He's close, but I think he's just a little bit too far back to think about a move coming into Cops. It's not an easy corner to make a move at. It's near impossible, in fact. But if he can get a nice run out of Cops, he might have a chance coming up towards Maggots and Beckett's. Is he going to pull out to the left-hand side and have a think about it? I think he's going to think better of that one for the time being. Mr. Oak holding on to that 4th place very nicely indeed. Officer Styles putting away from these guys a little bit now that they're engaging in a battle. 4.5 seconds he's got to Mr. Owen Ads. Also Vlad Ryber was very much in that battle before he came into the pits, so we'll keep an eye on him as this race goes on. He probably will come out somewhere similar to Mr. Owen Ads once they come in for their mandatory pit stops. So we're 9 laps down for round 5 of the season here. Kurt Hodgson still pulling out that gap to Thorsten Borchardt. It's now 3 seconds between the front two. Kurt is driving a hell of a race here. Oni Sakara saying good job Kurt, dreaming of the win. Well, Oni Sakara, I don't want to be cursing him or putting any pressure on him just at the moment, but he's looking good at the moment. He just needs to keep calm, stay composed, keep doing what he's doing, and he will be able to close the gap to Thorsten to within 2 points going into that final round. Thorsten going a little bit wide there coming out onto the Wellington straight on the exit of the loop. Ad's still very much on the back of Mr. O at the moment. QTKP looks like he's still sticking to the back of Sim Race Train at the moment. This is the battle for 8th and 9th places. Emo guy running just over a second behind Shrimper at the moment. So here is Kurt Hodgson still just gradually increasing the gap to Thorsten, but I think Thorsten may have just about stabilised that increasing margin a little bit, because it's at 2.7. It's been at 2.7 for a couple of laps now, so Thorsten just starting to get into a groove maybe. Kurt needs to stay on his A game if he wants to make sure that he's going to keep this lead in this race. Eilenia Citarella saying, "Go on, Ricky," voicing the support there for Ricky Kart, who's already pitted, by the way, guys. So I want to emphasise that he will gain a lot of places once the guys up ahead of him come into their mandatory pit window, because he's already been into the pits during this race. He doesn't need to come in again. Now, when I say mandatory pit window, there is no window where you have to pit. It's just what I mean by that is that everyone has to make a mandatory pit stop, and essentially they're going to reach that window where they need to come in at some point. But Ricky Kart has already been in. Ratchedas, who's just ahead of him at the moment, is still yet to come in. So Ratchedas is essentially just holding Ricky up at the moment. Ricky's going to want to get this one done as soon as he possibly can. I would imagine he'll probably be in a battle with, just looking down the order here, probably come out around where Sim Race Train and QTKP are. So Ricky Kart could be on for a solid top 10 finish here in this race if he continues doing what he's doing, but he needs to get ahead of Ratchedas ASAP if he wants any chance of that happening. Gap at the front is coming down though, guys. Kurt Hodgson 2.2 seconds at the moment, back to Thorsten Borchardt. Our British driver currently driving his home race at Silverstone. He's got 2 seconds to the German championship leader here. Thorsten took the first 2 rounds of the season at Zolder and Nürburgring. Won his home race at round 2 in the Eifel Mountains. Since then it's been a little bit hit and miss for him. At Monza he had an incident where he hit the barriers coming through Ascari, had some damage, had to pit for damage and lost a bit of time in that one. Ended up finishing in 4th, I believe, at the end of the race. And then last time out at Brands Hatch, didn't take the start of the race. It was such an unfortunate incident there for Thorsten. He just, I think, disconnected before the race, just before the race was actually meant to start, so he narrowly missed out on being able to take the green flag, but very much making up for it at the moment. The gap now down to 1.6 seconds at the front, so Thorsten is really on it at the moment. Kurt needs to pick up the pace if he wants to win this race. Only Sakara might be getting a little bit concerned at this point, because Thorsten is really reeling in Kurt at the moment. Gary131 in the comments saying, "Evening lads, just got ACC, definitely must get involved at some point." Absolutely, Gary, come and join the fun here on Sunday nights here at Motive Racing if you want. Starting up for season 3 at the beginning of January. Not quite sure what Phil's sending us all links to there, guys. But Kurt Hodgson still in this race by 1.3 seconds at the moment. Thorsten is really on it, so I think Kurt's got to pick up that pace, because otherwise he's going to find himself very much at a threat here. Looks like we've got a battle going on here for 4th place, and adds a squeeze past Mr. O there. We just caught the tail end of that, and it looks like Mr. O getting very wide there out of the loop onto the Wellington Straight, but he's managed to keep it. Oh, he looked like he was rattling up and down there, but adds is up into 4th place. These guys losing hand over fist to this man here, Oscar Style, who's just been able to break away while these two, Mr. O and Ads, have been battling. And Ads brings it into the pits, having just made that move on Mr. O, and crucially Mr. O follows him in. So these guys opting to come into the pits at the halfway mark here in this 45-minute race. 23 minutes currently left on the clock. SD12 Dash released into some clean air. He looked like he was closing in a little bit on those guys whilst they were battling. Sharon Smith in the comments saying, come on ads, got to get a win like the red men. You can smell 4th place right now. Do you know what, Sharon? I think ads could be on for a podium here if he keeps on doing what he's doing. Now he's gone ahead of Mr. O. He needs to make sure that he doesn't get jumped by Mr. O in the pits. Oh no! And just as I say that, I've tempted fate. It looks like Mr. O has done it. He's got ahead of ads in the pit stop. Ads with a very slow pit stop there will definitely have compromised him a little bit. He's not going to have liked that one bit. So it looks like Mr. O now coming out in... Well, he's come out in some... Well and truly in some clear air. Ads has been jumped by Vlad Ryber by the looks of it. You see there Vlad just coming through there. Coming through Maggots and Beckett's. There is Ads in the background. So Ads has lost hand over fist in the pits. A disaster of a pit stop there for Ads. He needs to get this one together here in the second half of this race. 20 minutes, just over 20 minutes left on the clock here. So plenty of time for him to get himself back in the groove here. But he has lost so much time to Mr. O and to Vlad Ryber. He's 7 seconds behind Vlad. He's 13 seconds off of the... No, 10 seconds even off of the back of Mr. O. So it's going to be a long way back here in order to get even a sniff at that podium spot. He'd need Os's style to have a true nightmare of a pit stop to have any opportunity at that 3rd place here in this race. In the meantime, the battle for the lead currently stood at 1.7 seconds. So Kurt responded a little bit over these last couple of laps. He's pulled out 0.3 of a second to Thorsten Borchardt, so he's very much getting his head back into the game here. Kurt's been on it since the start. Took the lead off of Thorsten at the start on the opening lap and has held the lead since. Thorsten at times has not been able to match Kurt for pace, but the last few laps Thorsten has been on average closing in a little bit. Fury CBK in the comments section voicing his support for Ian, saying come on Ian. Ian's currently running in 8th place at the moment, Fury, and he's doing a fantastic job here tonight here at Silverstone. He really has driven the wheels off of that Nissan GTR. I mentioned earlier he was in a Bentley. I must have been tripping there, guys, because he is in a Nissan quite clearly. But he's got up into 7th place obviously now because QTKP is coming into the pits to make his stop. And he is driving a Bentley. So there is Emo guy. He's currently a couple of seconds ahead of J Palm on the track, and he's appears to be matching him for pace as well. So it's been a really good performance for Ian so far. RBE saying, so sad my internet has gone after a very good qualifying on P3. Very unlucky there. Very unlucky there, mate. Obviously that is Red Bull Energy there in the comments section. He qualified in 3rd place, was only 0.4 of a second off of Thorsten Borchardt's pole time in the qualifying session. He'll be gutted about that one, as you can see in the comments. Hopefully he'll be back next time out to make amends, even though it's actually no fault of his own, that one. Just very unfortunate. Fury's Grandad in the comments section saying, evening everybody, go on Emo guy. Ian now up into 5th place with the guys ahead of him having pitted. Could be very much on for a top 10 spot here once everybody's been into the pits. So just to put this all into perspective, guys, the top 7 have yet to come in for their pit stop. They still need to come in at some point during this race. Everyone from 8th downwards except Brachidas has already been into the pit, so that's the state of play at the moment. Still a long way left to go here in this race. Kurt Hodgson's gap at the front, 1.1 seconds. Thorsten continuing to make gains here on the race leader. As it stands, I've mentioned this before, Kurt Hodgson would gain 5 points on Thorsten in the championship battle. The gap would come down to 2 points if the race result stays as it is at the moment. But Thorsten's going to give it absolutely everything to make sure that Kurt does not gain any points on him in these championship standings. Both of these boys putting on a hell of a show though. They're head and shoulders above the rest of these guys out there at the moment. Os's Style currently running in 3rd, nearly 20 seconds behind these guys. It's a blistering pace being set by these 2 lads at the front. Kurt Hodgson of Great Britain, Thorsten Borchardt of Germany. 2 guys who really know how to get the best out of their cars here on Assetto Corsa Competizione here in the GT3s. Thorsten Borchardt has previous here at Motive Racing. Over in our Project Cars 2 leagues, he was the winner of our GTE Championship in its first ever season. He won the GT3s the season after. So he is very much a man who has got accolades, trophies. History very much suggests that he is always going to be a contender. And he's not going to be wanting to really... Oh! Thorsten's lost it! As I big him up there, it looks like he's lost control of the car! Coming out of Kopp's corner! He's facing the wrong way here! This is going to play very much into the hands of Kurt Hodgson now, because Thorsten Borchardt is in all sorts of problems. He looked like he just about managed to keep it out of the wall there, but he's going to have a big gap back to Osterstad. He should be okay in that P2 position, but his tyres are going to be screeching out now. You see Osterstad in the background, only 5 seconds behind him on the track. This is absolutely unbelievable. The championship leader there, losing control. He's going to be hoping and praying that his tyre pressures drop down back to what they're supposed to be as soon as possible here, because though that car's going to be vibrating all over the place, the force feedback he's going to be feeling on his racing wheel is going to be absolutely treacherous. Oh my goodness. So Kurt Hodgson now with a 19-second lead in this race. He's got a lot of breathing space here. Kurt just needs to keep calm and composed. Only Sakara is going to be pretty excited about this one, because Kurt's looking very good for a home victory here at Silverstone in this race. Still just over 15 minutes left to go. But Kurt Hodgson now very much with this one at his mercy and in his grasp. Osterstad currently 3.6 seconds off of Thorsten Borchardt. We're going to be monitoring the gap between Thorsten and Osterstad, because we know that Thorsten was definitely going to be struggling a little bit with those tyres now. The tyre pressures are going to be absolutely through the roof after that spin coming out of Kopp's, and it looks like Osterstad has closed the gap coming through the middle sector as well, with the gap now down to 3.2. It was 3.6. Osterstad gaining 0.4 of a second through that sector. Sharon Smith in the comments once again voicing a support for Ads, currently running in 7th place at the moment, and he's closing that gap on Vlad Raiva as well. In fact, he's closing the gap on both Mr. O and Vlad. He's working away at that margin. 8 seconds off of Mr. O, 4 seconds off of Vlad. So Ads could be on for a good result here in this one. Obviously Osterstad still needs to come in. Trimper needs to come in. Looks like Thorsten's bringing it into the pits, so he's going to be changing, surely he's going to be changing tyres, because they're going to be crying out in pain at the moment. Those rear tyres after that spin coming out of Kopp's corner that we saw a couple of laps ago, it's dropped him down to second, 20 seconds off of the race leader Kurt Hodgson. This man knows he just needs to bring it round the final third of this race. 15 laps in, so I imagine we're going to be having around 7 or 8 laps left here in this race. 7.5 laps if my calculations are correct. So Kurt Hodgson knows that he's very much got this one in the bag. I don't want to put the commentator's curse on him. Osterstad though sat in P2, 24 seconds off of him. Both of the top two still yet to pit. Thorsten has been in and out of the pits. He's emerged in P3. Shrimper's also coming into the pits to make his stop. Well, we can get some idea actually of where Mr. O is going to come out in relation to Osterstad, because Thorsten was 3 seconds ahead of Osterstad when he came in. Thorsten is now just coming into Vale, and Mr. O is coming into Stowe. So the gap between Thorsten and Mr. O currently around, I would say 12 seconds maybe on track. Oh, it's 13 seconds. You see it just popping up there on the screen. So 13 seconds between those two. I think the Osterstad should pop out around 10 seconds ahead of Mr. O. So Osterstad should be very good for a podium finish, as long as he can keep doing what he's doing and keep consistent here in the final part of this race. He should be comfortably ahead of Mr. O. That means that Ads is most likely going to finish this one in, well, P6 at the moment, but he's within 4 seconds of Vlad Raiva, so maybe we might be seeing Ads making some progress here in the final part of this race as well. I'm sure Sharon Smith will be very excited to see Ads trying to make his way back through the pack, well, trying to get himself up into that top 5 potentially in these final few laps. Looks like SD12 Dash is closing right up onto Emo guy here. A tenth of a second separated them on the last lap, and it looks like actually he's got ahead of him here. So SD12 Dash has made that move, coming through the middle sector. Didn't see where he did that one, but SD12 Dash up into 9th. Emo guy down to 10th, and we've got a battle going on in the background here. It looks like J Palm is closing up onto the back of. Well, actually, I think he might have lost a position to. No, he hasn't. Dr. Benji's closing up on J Palm a little bit here. Oh, J Palm getting a little bit out of shape there, Kabiga. On the exit of the village, he can't quite get the move there. Can Dr. Benji? Is he going to try and go for the exit coming out of Aintree onto the loop? It looks like we're side by side here coming out onto the Wellington straight. J Palm goes very wide there. Cuts over the grass a little bit. Becomes a cropper, and he lifts. Oh, he rejoins on the track there. Dr. Benji to the inside, coming in towards Brooklands. Is he going to have that move on the inside? J Palm gives him the space, and looks like Dr. Benji's got that one done up the inside. Good stuff there from Dr. Benji. J Palm, I thought he'd lost that position coming out onto the Wellington straight, but he really kept fighting there, kept his foot in. But Dr. Benji in the end coming out with that position. And P11 for Dr. Benji here in this race. SD12 Dash has pulled out the gap to Emo guy after making that move on him. He's now got 1.6 seconds to Ian out on the track. Kurt leading this race. He's got a huge gap at the front after Thorsten made that mistake. It's an uncharacteristic error from Thorsten that obviously dropped him all that time. He just got a little bit too hot on the power coming out of Cop's corner. Very much has put a nail in his chances of taking the win, in my opinion. Obviously it's not over till it's over, but Kurt will just know now that he needs to bring it home, and that's all he needs to do. He has got a 30-second gap to Ossa Style at the moment. Spectacular drive from this man at his home race. Qualified in P2, got ahead of Thorsten in the first lap when he really needed to, and he has not looked back since, has driven away. Thorsten really had to rise above everything in order to try and stick with him. He managed to cling to the back of him for a little while, but in the end just couldn't hang on any longer. Lost the car, lost the rear end, and Kurt Hodgson very much in the box seat here in this race with 10 minutes left to go into the final quarter. This is round 5 of the season, so Kurt Hodgson will close the gap to Thorsten, but maybe, just maybe, if Ossa Style could get up into second place, we might see Kurt even take the championship lead going into the final round next week, which will be at Spa. So I think Thorsten's going to be pretty much on it at the end of this race to ensure that doesn't happen. 22 seconds separates Ossa Style and Thorsten, so I think Thorsten should come out of the pits. Well, he should jump Ossa Style when Ossa Style comes into the pits, but you just never know. This race still wide open. Dr. Benji, it looks like he's been passed by Shrimper, so Shrimper up into 12th place. Dr. Benji's dropped off the back of J Palm. We saw those guys were battling. In fact, Dr. Benji got the move on J Palm a couple of laps ago, so he's obviously made a mistake at some point. Dr. Benji is now down in 13th place. It looks like Ads has really closed onto the back of Vlad Ryber now. 1 second separating these two, so Vlad's clearly made a mistake at some point. Sharon Smith in the comments saying, come on Ads, catch Vlad. Looks like he's really getting the hammer down at the moment, Sharon. And he might be able to force Vlad into a mistake. He's piling the pressure on at this point. But Vlad Ryber looks like he's picked up the pace just a little bit over the last lap or so. Definitely responding to the pressure. He doesn't want to be losing this 5th place. He'll want the top 5 for Vlad Ryber. Also Styles brought it into the pits. He's in the box for his mandatory pit stop, so we're expecting Thorsten. Yeah, Thorsten's cleared him easily. Thorsten is into clear area. He's in 2nd place. Also Star though will probably emerge in P3, I would imagine. Oh, is Mr. O just coming through Cops? It's going to be close actually. In fact, yeah, he does hold on just about, but Mr. O and Ricky Cart there in the background. So Ricky Cart was a lap down, having made that early pit stop, got into a few problems earlier on in the race. but he's very much keeping pace with these leaders who have just put a lap on him. Mr. Odo could be in with a shout of picking up a podium here, because Oscar Star has clearly had quite some lengthy pit stop there. I wonder if Mr. O will be able to get himself up into a podium spot here, as Oscar Star gets very wide there coming out of Stowe. He will definitely have picked up a warning for track limits for that one. But the lap's winding down here at Silverstone. Mr. O looks like he's having to defend from Ricky Cart. Ricky Cart's unlapped himself there, which he is more than entitled to do if he's got the pace to do so. Oh, and there we go. Sorry guys, that's the ACC bug there. Welcome back guys, sorry about the issues we just had there. That's just the ACC spectator mode on PlayStation 4. A little bit buggy, it does time out after I think between 35-40 minutes, it just seems to cut out. But we're back on here for the final few laps of this race. This man Kurt Hodgson driving away with the race victory. He faced some stiff competition from this man Thorsten Borchardt, the championship leader, has really pushed him for most of this race, but Thorsten ended up making a little mistake coming out of Copse Corner, which had big consequences He's dropped to 15 seconds behind Kurt. Kurt has since just eked out that gap gradually, and it's now just over 20 seconds between these top two guys. Oscar Style still going around in P3. He came out of the pits just ahead of Mr. O out on the track. Mr. O has been unable to really reel him in. One man to look out for here in these final couple of laps though is Ads, because he's got ahead of Vlad River up into 5th place. So Sharon Smith, watch out here, because Ads is right behind Mr. O. Could Ads potentially take a P4 position here in these last couple of laps? Kurt has just started, well, he's on to what is going to be his penultimate lap of the race. So Ads has got 2 laps to get up onto the back of Mr. O and possibly make a move on him. Has he got the fight and the willpower to get himself up into that 4th place spot? You can see Oscar Style in the foreground there, not too far ahead in 3rd. Surely though 3rd's going to be a little bit too much of a stretch for Ads. He needs to get past Mr. O before he can even consider catching up and passing Oscar Style. But it would be a hell of a performance for Ads if he can get up into 4th place, considering the pit stop that he had. He had a lot of problems in the pit box. He lost so much time when he came in for repairs. So really well done to Ads on his performance here at Silverstone this evening. Put in a hell of a shift in that Bentley. Last season's championship runner-up. Very much showing why he was up there at the sharp end last season. This season hasn't been quite as impressive as we saw last time out, but this is definitely one of his better races so far in this campaign. Looks like he's lost a little bit of time to Mr. O coming through on this lap so far. Mr. O really pushing on the limit here, and it looks like he might have a chance of taking this P3 position here off Oscar Style. It's close up to within a second by the looks of it.
Give it a final push.
Just hearing over our radio there from the race director that Kurt Hodgson is on the final lap of the race. He's just coming into Maggots now, so we'll obviously pick him up in around a minute or so's time. Oscar Style and Mr. O now separated by 0.8 of a second out on the track. What can Mr. O do here? Looks like Ads has made a mistake, because he's dropped now down to 5 seconds off of these guys. This is the battle for 3rd place here. This is really heating up between these guys on the final lap of the race. Well, not final lap for these guys yet. They're about to start the final lap in a couple of moments. Out of Luffield for the penultimate time here. Flat out through Woodcote and out onto the start-finish straight for one final assault here on this Silverstone GP circuit. Kurt Hodgson currently coming out onto the Formula 1 pit straight. He's got half a lap left to go here in this one. He's got 21 seconds to Thorsten out on the track. He's just going to be able to take it round the final few corners, and I'm sure he'll be taking every bit of this in. But the battle for 3rd place still very much on here. Is Oscar Style going to be able to fend off Mr. O here in the dying embers of this race? Let's go to this man here though, Kurt Hodgson. Been practicing with him quite a lot over the course of this week. He really has been putting in the work in the build up to this race. He knew he had to put in a hell of a job here in this one if he wanted any chance of closing the gap to Thorsten Borchardt and being within striking distance going into the final round at Spa. And he is well and truly delivered. Qualified in 2nd place, got himself up ahead of Thorsten on the opening lap, managed to pull out a gap when it was needed. Kurt Hodgson comes into Woodcote for the final time, and he's going to take the checkered flag here at Silverstone. He is the race winner as he slows it down. A little flash of the lights there as he crosses over, but Kurt Hodgson is the race winner here for round 5. What a drive, what a performance from him. Thorsten Borchardt's going to come around to take P2 and remains the championship leader. The gap going into the final round, 2 points. It is so close at the top of the standings between these guys. Make sure you join us next week at Spa for the finale. It's going to be a hell of an event. Oscar Style trying to fend off Mr. O as they come in towards Brooklands for the final time. Mr. O, surely, if he's going to get this one done, has got to just go for a lunge or throw caution to the wind. But Oscar Style is going to surely just ride this one out as they come out of Luffield. Defends to the inside, keeping a tight line, not allowing any cracks to form, and Oscar Style is going to take the final podium spot here as he comes out of Woodcote. Good performance from both of those guys. Great racing between those boys. A flash of the lights there from Oscar Style saying, great battle. Mr. 04, Vlad Ryber ends up in 5th place, so Ads has had a mare at the end of that race. What has happened to Ads? Is he out of fuel? Ads is out of fuel. Oh no! So Sim Race Train takes P6. SD12 Dash comes over to take 7th, and Ads, is he going to coast it over the line? He just makes it. Oh my god! Ads just gets over the line by the skin of his teeth. Oh my goodness, that was... He makes it about 100 metres over the line before his car comes to a halt. Incredible stuff. QTKP comes over in 9th. Ian holds on for a top 10 spot there ahead of Shrimper. Fantastic drive from Ian. J Palm comes over in 12th. Dr. Benji 13th in the end. Hater Spray, Ratchet and Ricky all a lap down, finishing in 14th, 15th and 16th places respectively. What a race we had there, guys. It was drama throughout the field. Kurt Hodgson taking a emphatic home victory here at Silverstone for round 5 of the season. We go into the final round of the championship with Thorsten and Kurt separated by 2 points. Make sure you join us next time out, and thank you very much for joining us. Also, make sure you stick around, guys, because I don't know if we can have a touring car stream later, but fingers crossed we sort something out. If not, then we'll see you tomorrow evening for the GTE Championship. But from all of us at Motive Racing, take care. Make sure you join us next week for the finale, and peace.